Kingdom Come Deliverance sets the tone for its immersive realism before you even start playing. The main menu welcomes you with a composition featuring period-accurate instruments and the bohemian countryside as the background. When you click New Game, you are given the option to select one of the game's two difficulty modes, Normal and Hardcore. Once you start, you are presented with the historical setting of the game, the 15th century Holy Roman Empire. The empire flourished under Emperor Charles, but after his death, his son, Wenceslas, sat on the throne. Because of his idleness, the throne was in disarray. I almost said dysentery. So his half-brother, Sigismund, took it upon himself to restore order to the empire, along with most of the nobles. It's important to note that most of the events and characters in the game are based on true events, obviously dramatized a little for cinematic effect, but our character Henry is fictional, as far as we know. I must say the cinematic montage that introduces you to the Bohemian Paradise is still one of my favorite intro sections ever. This montage basically gives you an idea of what to expect when you play the game. There are no flashy locations, no dragons, no magic, just the Bohemian countryside, green fields, peasants working their jobs, and the somewhat developed fort of Skalitz. This section is accompanied by soaring orchestral music. Henry lives with his parents just outside the main castle. His father works as a blacksmith for the village. Although Henry is a set character and you can't customize the base look, you do have the freedom to make Henry the type of character you want. And you can set a foundation for that when your mother asks questions about your whereabouts last night. The dialogue options give you options to choose from strength, agility, vitality, speech. This decision does matter, as having a lower speech skill can make you fail even basic conversations. Your stature in the social hierarchy plays a big role in conversations. Survival elements are strong in this game. You must eat and sleep in order to function properly. Some of the food will turn bad if kept in your inventory for too long. Dried items last longer. You can also eat from the cooking pots found in most NPCs' houses. These cooking pots are OP, by the way. Imagine you're just sitting around a fireplace and some random dude just barges into your house, goes straight to your kitchen and just starts eating out of your pot, looks at you, and then leaves. Armor and weapon durability runs out. These things are not new to games, but it is implemented here amazingly to create grasping for breath situations and immersion. There's also a potion called Save Your Schnapps in the chest of your room. This is how you save in this game if you choose hardcore mode. If you don't have this potion, you need to find a bed and save it that way. Your grand adventure begins with the task of getting some nails, recovering a debt, fetching a sword part from the castle guard, and bringing a bottle of ale for your father. It does sound mundane, but the game somehow makes it interesting. You may also get distracted by the fascinating idea of throwing dung at a German's house with your friends, which will come back to haunt you later. Meanwhile, the village guard will chase you, but just tell you to bugger off instead of arresting you since they also hate the German. These little instances remind you of the game's dedication to historical authenticity. Trying to collect the debt will land you in a duel with Kunesh. This is where you are introduced to unarmed fistfights. If you are not careful, you will get your butt kicked by this peasant. Moments like this remind you that you yourself are a peasant as well. You can't just win your very first fight like a mythical hero. You have to learn first. However, if you focus hard enough, it's possible to beat him. But it's very difficult. But the real fun is the sword fights. I would argue this is the best sword combat system in recent years. It's so fun once you get into the groove, you can get lost in the back and forth with your opponents, like a tennis rally. I never understood the fuss about it being hard. It's hard, yeah. What do you expect in a game that boasts about historical authenticity and realism? You can always upgrade your combat skills by fighting a guy named Bernard later in the game. The Royal Edition also got rid of a lot of jank. I love the sword fights in this game. If you get the ale first, get everything done and return to your father, he will tell you to bring a new one, since this one has become warm. The game doesn't tell you that when you receive the quest you need to figure that out. Again, concepts like this are not novel, but we don't frequently see them in games, so it's nice to come across moments like this. Skalitz itself becomes a character from the first moment you see the village, and it remains a strong point in Henry's story. No matter where he goes, he will always be Henry of Skalitz. Settlements are lively and immersive, from Skalitz to Rattay. Every location has exact amount of people and houses required to make it seem real and lived in. Other games either have a lot of people in towns or no people at all. The lack of polish works in the favor of the game. Unpaved roads and potholes constantly remind you that you are far away from Bohemia's main cities, Kuttenberg and Prague. UI and menus are very beautifully designed. You can tell a lot of time went into designing them. You have everything in your inventory menu, clothing, food, skills, but it's not confusing as you can just press tab to cycle between them. Jan Volta did an amazing job with the soundtrack, and I'm very glad he's coming back for the sequel. Sound design is amazing, from the sound of the swords clanging, characters grasping for breath when they run out of stamina, to the sound of campfires. Everything sounds so real. Cinematics and dialogues can often feel awkward to a lot of people, especially the head movements of NPCs and even Henry sometimes. They repeat dialogue very often, which can pull you out of the immersion. For example, your mother will scold you for getting into a fight, but in the very next dialogue screen, she will say that again. I don't know. Things like that feel off to me. Once you get all the things for your father, Skalitz is sacked by an invading army, and your parents are brutally killed. Henry can't enter the fort in time, so he's instructed to bring this terrible news to the next fort. This is where the amazing intro section ends, and Henry's journey begins. And what a journey it is! You hear a lot of time how you need to spend some hours in a game and it picks up. This is not one of those games. Kingdom Come Deliverance hits you like a hot chocolate drink on cold December nights. Like that hot chocolate in Polar Express. The game is deeply rooted in the Christian culture of medieval Europe. Warhorse also faced backlash from a lot of people for not adjusting the game to modern standards. But they stayed true to their vision, and I'm glad they did. Overall, Kingdom Come Deliverance is absolutely amazing, a title you should try even if you don't like the historical setting or the absence of fantasy. This is one of those games that have the credentials to change your taste. And with the sequel coming up, you will also be up to date with the story. Even with its flaws, Kingdom Come Deliverance is one of the best games of all time to me. If you have yet to play it, this is the perfect year to do it. This is Zinematic Gaming, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe.